G5 governors recently got back from London after their closed-door meetings and sessions, and there were allegations that they had endorsed Bola Ahmed Tinubu, having met with the presidential candidate. But though there are also members of the G5 who had come out to say they had not publicly endorsed his candidature. What's your view on the G5 governors? And do you see them as a formidable force to be reckoned with?
What did you call them?
The G5 governors.
G5. So they got 5 votes. So that's the reality. They have 5 votes. Put it this way. It is part of the madness attending our space that we elevate men to the point where we lose sight of the objectives. Each and every one of those governors, they represent their states as governors, yes. But each and every one of them will rise and fall on his personal record in their state. Each person in the state who has a vote would also vote, I hope, based on their consciences and their preferences. If the 5 governors elect to add 5 votes to Peter Obi's vote, I am extremely happy. I'm hoping that they would even be able to swing 1 or 2 persons. But if they are not coming, and if they are voting, if they have decided to go and support Bola Ahmed Tinubu, good luck to them. Like I said, it's the same thing. They have 5 votes. They have 5 votes. They will throw behind Bola Ahmed Tinubu, and then they will throw their influences as well behind him. And those they are able to convince will go with them. But the reality on the ground is that there are 5 men with 5 votes. 5 men with 5 votes. Nigerians are the ones who will eventually vote. And it is up to Nigerians, not 5 men. Nigerians. Those are the ones who will determine who becomes the president.
Let me just get this clarification. Yeah. Peter Obi had once led a delegation to meet with one of the G5 governors, the prominent governor, that's Governor Wiki, and who has, at a point in time, even invited Peter Obi to commission projects in the states. Were there during the closed-door sessions, were there any agreement reached between Peter Obi and Governor Wiki at all?
If there was one, if there was even any discussion, I'm not privy to it. Not only am I not privy to it, let me quickly add this. Governor Wike has invited all kind of people to come and commission projects in his state. Even Bola Ahmed Tinubu, I believe, went to commission a project there. I don't know why he hasn't invited me to come and commission projects. So he invites people to come and commission projects all the time, and he's a man who has he's a man with a love for the theatrics. So I don't know what might have been discussed, I have no inkling or idea. But that Mr. Peter Obi went to Port Harcourt, of course, that's normal. It's election season. He's looking for support, as he should. But as far as I'm concerned, and I speak for myself when I make that clear, I see 5 persons with 5 votes. End of story.
Peter Obi is running on the platform of the Labour Party. But in recent time, we've seen the Labour movement itself talking about the NLC and the TUC and other Labour organizations clearly endorsing, so to speak, a Bola Ahmed Tinubu candidature. How do you reconcile that? How does Peter Obi reconcile that if he's not being endorsed by the Labour movement itself?
Okay. Remember when I said the Labour Party of today is not unlike Nadeko. Consider it a vehicle to a destination. What it becomes after the election is what you can identify with Peter Obi. What it is as at today is largely, you know, when okay, let me give you an example. Akele
Clear.
died without receiving his entitlement. In spite of several pleas, but Bola Tinubu went and addressed labor leaders and they were applauding. Nobody asked a single question related to Ayodele Akele. You see, sometimes in this environment, dying for the people is not unlike setting yourself on fire for the blind to see. But when you speak about the endorsement of Bola Tinubu by labor leaders, is that the laborers knows those who lead them. And when the laborers would cast their votes, they will do the endorsement that we expect. The laborers know who lead them. I will not want to be speaking to individual labor leaders.
Talking about INEC preparedness towards the 2023 elections, a lot of issues have said to be critical to the ensuring that INEC actually conducts a free, fair, and credible elections. But
you know,
some of the issues that are prevailing now has to do with structural infrastructure, and as well as the state of insecurity, voters' inducement, and other issues have crept up. Do you see this? Do you see INEC actually able to conduct a free, fair, credible elections come 2023, sir?
See, the thing is, we have a duty to bolster the confidence of the electorate in the process. But we also have a duty to tell the electorate the truth. And the truth is that INEC has not covered itself in glory so far, but it does have enough time to correct most of these anomalies, particularly in the area of distribution of voters' registration cards. Security is not in the hands of INEC. The insecurity is unfortunately a reflection of the desires of the Buhari regime. Because it is only in Nigeria that terrorists would appear to know the movement of troops, and troops would appear to know the movement of terrorists, but everybody would appear to have learned how to avoid each other. It is only in Nigeria that kidnappers will collect money with POS, and the CBN will not know how to track these monies. So when we talk about insecurity, we must be careful to understand that it is government-enabled insecurity. So that is not in the hand of INEC. It is not by accident that appears to have been a dial down in terrorist activities, whilst there is an uptick in genocidal killings.
Could you please elaborate on that?
No, it's a simple enough thing.
We're beginning to see, just like you said.
If you've noticed, there is an uptick in tribal cleansing in the Benue Trough, in the Plateau, in southern Kaduna, in part of Kebbi. You are seeing ethnic cleansing. And that's what it is. Land grabs. But terrorist activities would appear to have come down somewhat. So when you take this in conjunction with all the other things we know that this government has done in relation to security or insecurity, ignoring to try those whose name had been given to it by the Dubai authorities, ignoring to publish the name of terrorism sponsors that had been given to it by the Commodore Olawumi-led committee. There are so many bases for alleging complicity on the part of high officials of the Buhari administration or regime, as the case might be. But at the end of the day, their season is over. It is ultimately in the hands of Nigerians to understand the fact that this is not normal. We can't be having this much insecurity in a country where you are voting over $1 billion every day to counter-insurgency fight. If you have voted $1 billion, that's over $1 billion naira every day. So it's become big business. And yet, you've spent so much on security, and there is no security. So you have to begin to ask questions, because this now tells you that this is no longer about counterterrorism. It's become a business.
Let's look at your party's readiness to also take what efforts is the Labour Party, Peter Obi, making to ensure that it wins majority seats at the legislative level. Considering we have, considering the fact that we seem to have one of the worst National Assembly in the history of this democratic dispensation.
The National Assembly is a reflection of the people. That is without prejudice to the fact that it's badly structured. I'm not talking to that. But at the end of the day, the people sat in the National Assembly largely reflects the Nigerian people. We have chosen poorly. We are badly represented because we have elected bad representatives, horrible senators, governors who have failed woefully at governing their state, get promoted to the National Assembly. So as far as their being bad is concerned, let us understand that they merely reflect us and they reflect our priorities at the point of their election. Now, there is a new election. Labour Party obviously is not in a position to gain a majority because it definitely does not have the spread across the country to do that. But what Labour Party is doing, or maybe I should say what the Obidati ticket is doing, and most of what it is doing, believe it or not, is also reflective of the priorities and demands of his followers, because it's a movement. The people make demands. And that's why, for instance, look at the manifesto. It took so long to come out because there were demands being made, there were discussions being had, and there were debates. Do you understand? So it wasn't just a reflection of what Mr. Peter Obi and Mr. Obi and Mr. Ahmed Dati would have wanted. It was a reflection of what the coalition that became the Obidati movement considers to be its priorities. So point I'm making is, if and when Mr. Obi wins the presidency, it is our belief that he would have been winning the presidency on the back of a popular mandate for change. Without a popular mandate for change, he can't win. It's not possible. We're talking Labour Party. This party was unknown, practically unknown 6 months ago. It is what it is today because the people have infused it with their being, their hope, their aspirations, their faith. They've brought it into that. So if Peter Obi wins, it's not just Peter Obi that is winning, it's the Nigerian people that would have won. I dare any House of Reps or Senate member to go against the will of the Nigerian people. I dare them. If Peter Obi wins, it will be because the people have won. Because a person like Peter Obi is not meant to win an election in a place like Nigeria. So if Peter Obi wins, Nigeria wins. If Nigeria wins, Let them try it. I'll be one, because if we have a president who is believing of the rule of law, Abi, he says he believes in the rule of law. We now have a legislative house that is averse to the wish of the people. We will go and occupy the National Assembly now. If the president is not asking policemen to kill us, at least when we stay within the boundary of law and we are not violent, we can occupy the National Assembly indefinitely until it does the will of the Nigerian people. So when we express the confidence we express, it's not because we expect that Labour Party will control the Senate. And why should they even control anything? In America right now, is it the Democrats controlling everything? So that's democracy. He will take policies before the National Assembly reflective of the aspirations of the Nigerian people. If it is reflective of the Nigerian people's wishes, I'm sure the National Assembly would have no choice. They will reform them too. They too will become pro-Nigerian if the president is pro-Nigerian.
Your thoughts on the commodification of votes, which has become a permanent feature of the Nigerian elections. We've seen people vote buying. Instead of concentrating on issue-based politics, vote buying has become prioritized with cash, food, clothing and other commodities which are given out in exchange for votes. And we saw that during the off-cycle elections, the gubernatorial elections in Osun State and Ekiti State, I mean, where the candidates boast of matching dollars with dollars and naira with naira. Do you see these as a problem to be addressed as far as the forthcoming general elections is concerned? And what's your party doing to militate against such incidences?
I think a lot of people haven't read the new Electoral Act, because if they have read it, the only thing they will be saying in response to your question is what I would have said and ended it there, which would have been that as long as INEC fulfills its obligations under the law, anyone buying votes is probably just playing kalu-kalu, because the exchange is based not on trust, but on verification. So the person whose vote is being purchased would ordinarily have to show proof to the person who is buying. Now, to be able to show proof is either you are within sight of the buyer or you are able to take an electronic device with a camera into the voting precinct. Neither are allowed under the new Electoral Act. So if INEC, that's the big if, should do its job, vote buying should end in this election cycle. The only reason it hasn't ended is because INEC is not doing its job. If you are seeing vote buying, it's because INEC is not doing its job. Now, what are we doing? The Obidati ticket is doing its best to educate the voters, educate the polling agents, so that at least in places where sanity prevails, because you find it unbelievable that in Nigeria, in places where you can't carry on business, you can actually vote. Insecurity is not a live business, but they are returning 90-something%. So, but the hope is that divas will check all of this. The hope again is that INEC will live up to its responsibilities, but all this remains just that, hope.
Finally, what's your message to the Nigerian people and with regards to the forthcoming general elections?
Well, I am convinced that the election says more about we as a people, as a collective, because elections have consequences. And our choices are reflective of who we are. You cannot claim to be a person who holds integrity there, and then be voting for a candidate you will not recommend as a groom to your daughter. I'm not even going to bother mentioning anybody's names, but I am firm in my conviction that we must vote carefully in the coming election. We must exercise our franchise in the knowledge that elections have consequences. Elections have consequences. The person you vote as president of your country stands before the world to tell the world who you are. I'm voting Peter Obi. I am doing so based on my conviction that I am doing what is best for my children and for my country. Win or lose, my conscience is clear. I hope every other Nigerian will be able to say the same of themselves when they might have done their civic duty. Have a happy new year.
Thank you so much.